Do you know what? That looks worse than Peckham.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mikes on the warm-up, coming to you live from Crystal Palace ahead of the game against Everton at 3. We've got a packed show for you. We're talking to Palace Chairman Steve Parish. Andy Johnson's here, so is Steve Coppell, and Graham Stewart's going to be popping along as well. We'll give you our verdict on the Trump takeover of the White House yesterday, and we'll have a 1-minute moan. We'll see if Porky can actually manage to stick to the time limit this time. And of course, we'll bring you the goals as they go in Anfield, with Liverpool taking on Swansea in the early kick-off. 08717 22 33 44. You're listening to the Two Mikes live from Selhurst Park on the warm-up. And here we are standing in the Legends Lounge looking out onto the pitch at Selhurst Park. Porky Parry is standing about 100 yards away from me. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. He seems to be out on the balcony. Porky, very good morning to you. What on earth are you doing?
Yeah, good morning, Mike, and good morning to all our listeners. Well, you know what? I have a fascination for football grounds. They are cathedrals. A cathedral is somewhere that is special to you, and it's special to the Palace fans.
Is that why you're down on your knees?
And I'm not down on my knees. No, I might be down on my knees later when Everton get here. But
you will be, yeah.
Some people,
particularly after lunch, I would imagine.
Some people, of course, cruelly say they can never tell whether I'm on my knees or standing up.
That's
That's a cruel jibe.
A lot of them have been commenting on your bald patch as well since that picture went out just before the show.
Well, that's only because of the sun, because I was just about to tell you, I'm looking down now on the pitch at magnificent Selhurst Park, and it's the most beautiful setting because it's a powder blue sky, but a very, very bright sun, which is shining down on the pitch. The pitch this morning, when the groundsman arrived at sort of 6 a.m. was -8. What about that?
Absolutely incredible. Well, it's warmed up to about -2 now, isn't it?
Well, the outside temperature's -2, but the guys here who look after the pitch have got it up to, it's going to be 12 degrees when the teams come out at 3 o'clock to start the game. So they really have weaved a lot of magic, and we're going to talk to one of the groundsmen about how he's done that a bit later in the show. But it looks magnificent, as these grounds always do, before the fans arrive. And
what is that you're holding over your eyes, by the way?
Well, to be honest, it's just an ordinary newspaper because it's so bright
just
out
an ordinary
here.
Newspaper.
Yeah, it's so bright out here that without my newspaper visor across the top of my head, visor, that's right, I wouldn't be able to actually relay to you the colourful.
Are you going to do the
location.
whole show from over there?
No, I'm not.
No. I can see the back of your head, which is a much better thing than looking at the front of your face.
No, I'm coming back in a minute because I mean
How disappointing.
One of the strong points of my profession, mate, is weaving colours with words.
Is that right?
And I do it at Cheltenham.
Shame you haven't done that with a shirt.
I'm not going to get into that. You look like a bit of a tramp today, actually. I was very disappointed with the coat you wore to get here.
I think you'll find. What,
you
mean my barber?
That scruffy old Parker that you had on.
No, it's a barber actually.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, I mean, people have remarked, funnily enough, because quite a few pictures have been put out on Twitter already, at the Two Mikes, at Mike Parry 8, at IROMG, that you look like a bit of a tramp, and I look very nice in my suit and tie.
You're looking like a tramp.
Yeah.
You're off your rocker.
Shocking.
What a game it's going to be today, because, of course, as you quite rightly say, Everton come here on the back of a magnificent victory against Manchester City.
Absolutely incredible.
4-0. They're going to be right up for it.
But do they travel well, is the question?
Well, we had a run of 4 games when we got defeated away from home each time, so that wasn't good. But I think the great anticipation for the Everton fans today is to look at the starting lineup. Yeah. Because so many of our young players excelled in the last game against Manchester City.
The young Mike Parry lookalike.
Who's that?
Tom Davies.
Oh, yeah, Tom Davies. Not a Mike Parry lookalike.
He does. He looks exactly like you did when you were romancing people at the Nottingham
Which
Poly.
is quite interesting. And of course, young Lookman, who was 19, who scored a goal, the minute he came in the 90s. So I think it'll be very interesting to find out whether they start today or not. I mean, Lookman, I suppose, could be one of these great power subs at his age. He could come on and do things.
And he knows this part of the world, doesn't he? Because he came from Charlton.
That's right, absolutely, at 19. But I tell you the other interesting thing is, you just mentioned Tom Davies. Yeah. His uncle is Alan Whittle.
Yes.
Now, Alan Whittle was a member of Everton's 1970 championship-winning team, and when Alan Whittle left Everton, he came to Crystal Palace.
Did he?
Yeah. So he's played for both clubs as well.
Circle. And Big Sam, of course, has got a reasonable record against Everton, hasn't he?
Big Sam's got a reasonable record against everybody.
Yeah.
And, my greatest fear today is at the moment it's been a difficult settling-in period. Yeah. As you could imagine, you've come into a situation that's been slipping. And I just hope he doesn't kick-start it into gear today against Everton.
He may do, because they're off the back of that FA Cup win during the week. Yep. Where the Palace people here today have been saying they thought they played pretty well.
Yes.
We'll be talking to his chairman chairman as well later on. So
we
we'll
certainly
find out
will.
what the confidence level is like.
I feel like a bit of a cad, actually, because we are very, that we've been treated magnificently here at Crystal Palace, and we haven't even got to the first 10 minutes of the show yet, but they've made us feel so welcome.
They have.
Thank you so much. They're entertaining us to lunch. We're going to be sitting with the important people to watch the game.
Okay.
That's right, yeah. And what I don't want to do
you
is...
better be on your best behaviour then.
well, I will be on my best behaviour, but what I don't want to do is I want to anybody to feel that I'm being, somewhat, I don't know, injurious to the health of Crystal Palace by hoping that Everton will win.
Well,
but that's life. I'm an Everton
Crystal
fan.
Palace understand that. We come here pretty much every season, and they always know that you want them to win, and it doesn't always happen, though, does it?
The thing is, of course, I do have a soft spot for Crystal Palace because, of course, they are the nearest Premier League ground to myself.
What?
And
Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was about to say, because they are so close to
why did it
Stockbroker
take
Belt,
so long to
Surrey,
get here this
it
morning?
means they have a very high quality of fan.
Is that right?
A certain percentage of their fans you'll sometimes see on match days when the game's finished and they go back home. And I've been in some very, very nice towns down in Stockbroker Belt, Walton-on-Thames, places like that, and the Palace fans are coming home. They are very high-quality fans.
Right.
There's some...
Is this part of your snobbish new outlook on life, then?
Well, I don't have a snobbish new outlook on life, but seeing as you accused me once of calling all Millwall fans, sort of the great unwashed, which I never did, I wouldn't refer to anybody like that.
Well, you did say they should all move off to North Kent.
Well, I just said it's an opportunity, that was all. We're not going to drag up that old argument, and I got a hell of a lot of abuse from people because you misrepresented me.
Yes, you did.
But all I would say is that there is a very high quality of fan around here at Palace, and we'll meet a lot of them today. I hope we do.
Will.
And I have to say, it's going to be a thrilling game. In these sort of temperatures, you've got to remember, Mike, that the thing that the players have really got to look after and look for are those muscle strains.
Yes.
You get a groin strain at -2, it can be more difficult than a groin strain at +2.
Is that why you were walking a bit strangely on the way into the stadium?
No, I wasn't walking
straight. I thought you were.
No,
it took you ages to get the security band on your wrist as well. What was that all about?
Well,
you had to get producer Catherine to help you to actually put it on there.
Yeah, well, not in the end. I mean, these things are...
shocking.
They are designed to fox you,
Yeah.
but it didn't fox me in the end.
It looks a bit tight. Now, there's lots of other things to talk about as well.
Certainly
We've got a new leader of the free world since yesterday.
Yes.
Donald Trump has taken over the White House.
Absolutely.
With what looks like the cast of the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
So we need to talk to you about that as
well.
Yeah,
definitely. Did you see the pictures of Bill Clinton and Hillary?
I did.
Hillary, the woman who
Hillary with a very fixed smile on her face.
She saw the prize of a lifetime.
Well, at least she turned up, though.
Yeah,
Plenty of people who said they were
I agree.
At least she had the cojones to actually show up.
She saw the prize of a lifetime slip away through her hands.
Yeah. There is a great piece of video, by the way, of Bill and his wandering eyes. He's standing behind Hillary, and he appears to be peering over towards Ivanka Trump.
Sure.
And she catches him out.
Sure.
And he starts to look a bit sheepish.
Yes, that's right.
A bit unfortunate,
that. A little bit unfortunate. But Bill, of course, who was my friend. And,
so you keep saying.
Well, I would still...
There's no point being friends with him now.
No, it's not.
I mean,
no,
not
I
only
agree.
is he no longer the president, but his party's no longer in control.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Anyway, over the next 2 hours, we're going to bring the full flavour of the game here. As you quite rightly say, we've got loads of people here at Crystal Palace who are going to come on and guest with us on the show.
Before the Everton game, of course, Liverpool are kicking off at 12:30 against Swansea.
They certainly are.
People got very confused this morning because I put out a tweet that said, are they going to be able to hold on to second?
Yeah.
People seem to think they're not going to go second.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to go second.
Well, I imagine they would. Paul Clements, who's the new Swansea boss,
That's right.
I've fallen out with him already.
Have you?
Now, people said that we
the
gave...
time, by the way.
Don't worry about the time. Don't worry about the
later.
time. People said that we gave Bobcat Bob a hard time.
Yeah, you did give him a hard
get
time.
you now, boy!
Well, I mean, Paul Clements not any better.
No, but I'm saying that Paul Clements has disrespected Bobcat Bob, who's a favourite of ours.
Right.
He said... Of course, he said, I've looked at the team and they're not fit.
Yeah.
He's accusing Bobcat Bob of not getting his boys fit. I thought Bobcat Bob said, you boys are going to be fit.
Also, guess what
fit
else
as a butcher's dog.
Guess what? No, they don't say that in America. Fit as a butcher's dog. Guess who else is playing early today?
Who?
Who are you?
Who are
the big
you?
Game, QPR Fulham. We'll be talking about Mr. Onion Holloway as well.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics on the warm-up live from Crystal Palace, ahead of Crystal Palace Everton, which is coming up at 3 o'clock, of course. Got a few tweets already, Mr. Parry.
Yes.
Tell Porky not to yell into makeshift studio. The volume's peaking off the charts. My ears are bleeding.
Well,
MG sounds, as usual, composed.
So
you're so overexcited again,
No.
Because Everton are playing.
After relying on the equaliser equipment.
Oh, is that right?
That right. It sometimes has...
Remember the equaliser?
The equaliser, no, I don't know.
It was Ed Woodward, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Ed Woodward?
Yeah, the other Ed Woodward.
Yeah, that's right.
Not the one that said Manchester United. Paul says, any preview of Chester against Wrexham today, boys?
Well,
so that would be your home tie if you're up north.
Yeah, it would be. In fact, I put out a funny tweet last night saying San Siro or Sealand Road. You know what I mean? That's where you want to be this weekend, Sealand Road.
So
that's Chester's ground, Chester Wrexham.
Yeah, that's the place where they had the giant rubbish tip, right? At the end of it.
That's right, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, God, it's that time of the week again when the 1 minute Ed Balls moan kicks into place.
Well, it won't be about Ed Balls this week. I've got a moan this week.
Have you got a moan this week?
Don't do with Ed Balls.
All right, very good.
I tell you who's not moaning, Gardeners, because...
Gardeners?
I revealed to our millions of listeners, didn't I, just a few minutes ago, that it was -8 when the ground staff got here this morning.
Yes,
-8 at pitch side.
I know.
Blimey. That's leg breaker type stuff. Thank God they've got the pitch heated up.
Worse than that, as Dean is reminding you, surely the players need to be watching out for frozen birds falling from the sky as well as Brussels strains.
Well, I'm telling you. I haven't
seen any frozen birds.
If a bird flies into a cold snap, it means that its gullet gets cut off.
Well, they've got the eagle down here, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got the eagle. You're absolutely right, yeah. But no, what I was going to say is, because the temperature across Britain is going to be as low as -7 for a lot of the weekend, okay?
Well, it's already been -8.
-8, but it could rise to -7. What I'm saying is, I have spoken to some gardening experts, because I like to keep my eye on this sort of thing, who say it could mean a bumper fruit crop later this year.
Oh, great.
Bumper fruit
what about
crop.
the spinach?
It will also reduce...
what about the spinach?
Well, the spinach is in Spain.
No, it's not. They don't grow it in Spain.
What do they grow in Spain?
They grow courgettes in Spain.
Courgettes, that's right.
There's a courgette shortage.
There's a huge courgette shortage. Anyway, it says here, look, in my journal, in my gardening journal, the number of slugs and snails in gardens this year is going to be massively reduced because of the cold temperatures. They only get busy in January when it's warm and wet, and it's not warm and wet, okay?
Yeah, well, it's the middle of winter. Why are you telling me all this now?
Do you know that it's colder than Reykjavik?
Is it?
It's colder than Reykjavik in
Iceland.
Like
Reykjavik?
I love Reykjavik.
Yeah, you've been there a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about Crystal Palace because here we are at Selhurst Park. We're live from the Legends Lounge, which is a fantastic place, a great view of the pitch. We're going to talk to the groundsman because, as you say, he's getting the temperature of the pitch up to 12 degrees. How's he doing that exactly? Can you explain the science for me?
I don't want to preempt anything
because
he's coming up to tell us about it. He has explained the technology to me, but I'm going to leave it to him.
Okay.
Now then, what do we think? What do we think of Stephen Gerrard joining the coaching staff?
I think it's an absolutely natural move. I mean, why would he have wanted to go to MK Dons? Why would he want to go anywhere else outside of Liverpool? He's an absolute Liverpool legend.
Yes.
Surely he belongs within the Liverpool family.
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp seems like a guy that he gets along with. I rather like Jurgen Klopp saying, by the way, just on the news there before, that we don't need to change the rules of football. Why do we need to change the rules of football? This guy, Marco van Basten, appears to have gone a bit mad. He started drinking the Kool-Aid.
He hasn't gone mad.
This is a guy who not only says that they should do away with the offside rule, he's also saying that FIFA in 2026 might well introduce this business of running at the goalkeeper instead of having a penalty from a static penalty spot.
It's all drivel.
What's he going on about?
He wants to break the game up into 4 quarters. The problem is... dealing with one issue first. Marco van Basten has some sort of role within FIFA and doesn't think people are taking enough notice of him because, of course, he was a very, very good footballer.
He was a very good footballer.
So I think he's come out with a string of wacko ideas, which have all been floated before.
But the trouble is...
He's just a flying a kite,
but he's not just flying a kite, because, as you well know, it's upset you greatly. In 2026, they're going to start the World Cup with 48 teams.
Yeah, but we've been through that. We've been through that.
No, but it's happening.
Yeah, and it's a completely ridiculous idea. Getting back to Stephen Gerrard, now... You cannot doubt that he's one of the greatest ever Liverpool players.
That's right.
Alongside Kenny
Dalglish, one of the greatest Liverpool captains.
Ian Rush, yes, definitely. But he's done the right thing starting in his own club at coaching level because it means that he won't fall for the trick that a lot of chairmen pull on great players and ask them to become their manager immediately.
About Ryan Giggs?
Maybe Ryan Giggs.
Because Ryan Giggs
although
became
he didn't fall into
manager. Yeah, very quickly. Then he was in charge of the team after your mate David Moyes got the fight.
Yeah, but only on a temporary basis. What I'm saying is, I'm thinking more about maybe even the Brian Robson situation. You know, as soon as he finished playing football. Well, in fact, I think he was playing manager at Middlesbrough when he came in. And Brian Kidd, he didn't have
Manchester City.
But Brian Kidd doesn't have a manager, was he? He was assistant manager. Brian Kidd was only ever manager at Blackburn, I think. Wasn't
he was a brand manager.
But anyway, the point I'm making is that it's never a good idea to assume that because a player is a great player, as surely Stevie Gerrard was, he's going to become a great coach.
No, of course. But I mean, he's starting off at the bottom rung, isn't he? He's going to be an academy coach.
He is.
So he gets himself familiarised with the coaching system.
He is.
He presumably takes his coaching badge.
Yes.
And then he works his way up.
Well, David Unsworth, right? He was a great Everton player.
Yeah.
And captain and great penalty taker.
Yeah.
He's now in charge of several youth teams at Everton. And he's responsible for people like Tom Davies.
Right.
Now, that is where great players of the past really can pass on their experience and contribute to their club.
Exactly.
Duncan Ferguson,
well, the big
exactly
question
the same.
about people like Tom Davies is, can Everton hang on to them? Can Everton, in their new guise, with Mr. Bashiri in charge, can they actually hold on to players rather than having to sell them
I think
off?
the answer is that's got to be the ambition, definitely. Because, of course, we never had a hope in hell of hanging on to Wayne Rooney because the club was in big debt at the time. We were struggling and, you know, things weren't as good as we'd have wanted them to be.
Right.
Historically, what we'd inherited in the Wayne Rooney era, we had to get rid of.
Yeah.
But now, with a more level playing field for Everton, I see no reason whatsoever why you can't. I think the roles have changed. In the Wayne Rooney era, Everton had to sell Wayne Rooney because he wanted to go to a bigger club with better players.
Yes.
Now,
and he wanted to play in the Champions League.
Of course he did. Now, I think Everton will produce a team that other players will want to come to.
You may well be right about
and that team will include people like Tom Davies and the boy Lookman and, you know, all the other young players
Can I just
who are
remind
coming
you,
through. There's apparently half a dozen of them.
Can I just remind you, I wasn't fortunate enough to hear your performance, but were you not making a rogue appearance on Hawksby and Jacobs yesterday?
Well, I did actually,
You didn't tell me you were going to go on that.
I didn't know until 5 minutes before they rang me and said, will you go on it?
Really?
I said, which particular feature?
Yeah.
And they seemed to take a lot of glee in saying the Fools
panel.
Panel.
Yeah, well, you and I have been on it together in the past.
Yeah, that's right.
And the last time we went on it, we went on it together. So why'd you go on your own?
My Fools panel prediction for the game
was 5-2, I understand.
Yes.
That's 7 goals on a frozen pitch.
Well, it's not frozen, is it, by the time?
Well, yeah, but it's going to be frozen conditions.
I think we're going to find out in a second or two why it won't be frozen, you see, because we have experts around
there.
Yeah,
all right, but it's still
Palace.
frozen around the atmosphere of the pitch, though, isn't it?
You know what I love about this lounge that we're in?
What do you like
all
about
these caricatures of their great players from the past. In Steve Coppell over there.
Yeah.
Andy
Steve
Johnson
Coppell's coming on
there.
later.
He's coming on later.
Yeah.
To talk to
I
us.
thought what you liked about it was the proximity to the bar.
Great.
Well, I mean, it's a stone's throw from the bar.
Yes, I know, but remember, moderation in bladderation is the theme of today.
No, it's the other way round, actually.
Bladderation.
Yeah.
And I have vowed not a drop will pass my lips.
Is that right?
Until this show is over at 1 o'clock.
Yes, well, that's unusual.
Give me a straw, somebody.
Unusual for a Saturday.
Well, yeah, it's very unusual for a Saturday.
Where did you perform your Fools panel appearance from? Where were you yesterday afternoon?
Epsom High Street.
Epsom High Street?
Yeah, that's right.
What were you doing there?
I was sorting things out.
Sorting things out?
Sorting out business. No, it's just things. I think it's fair to tell the audience, by the way, that the previous 3 times we've been to Crystal Palace, as a guest of Mr. Powelson and people here who said come and watch the game and all that,
absolutely.
We have in fact inebriated before we got here.
Well, because we weren't doing a live radio show.
On this occasion, no way.
We weren't doing a live radio show.
No, we weren't doing a live radio show.
It
doesn't usually stop you.
Well, one of our trips down here, when we taking the train from Victoria to East Croydon, I seem to remember that we sat in first class. And you insisted that we sit in first class, even though we didn't have a first class ticket, by the way.
Yes.
And the guy who was actually the conductor on the train tweeted us afterwards saying, I did know it was you guys, but if I'd known you didn't have a first class ticket, I would have thrown Porky off the train.
That's right, but he didn't.
By the way, I just passed a sign today in the East Croydon station, which has got all the details about the strikes next week that are going to be taking place.
Yeah,
and
thanks a lot.
The fact that, the timetables have all been messed up, even though some of the strikes are being called off. Right next to it was a poster for recruiting drivers.
Yes.
Do you know how much they're offering them?
No.
49 grand.
Oh, that's not bad, is it?
49,000 quid.
Actually, I think I'll leave and go and
maybe you should go and get a job as a train driver.
The other sort of, I've got only good memories about Crystal Palace, but the one sort of negative perhaps is when we left here one time.
Yes.
Some guy tried to climb into my cab.
Really?
Yeah, I summoned a black cab. Yeah. And the problem is, I mean,
what time was this? About 8 o'clock.
About 8 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, and I've already praised the quality of the Crystal Palace fans because most of them come from Stockbroker.
There's been some interesting reactions on Twitter.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this particular guy was a bit of a low life actually.
Was he?
There's a tiny minority of Crystal Palace fans who can be that. He
wasn't an Everton fan.
And the problem was.
Why have you ignored that?
Sorry?
I said, you sure he wasn't an Everton fan?
No, he wasn't an Everton fan. No, but he climbed into the back of my cab. The cab had only stopped at traffic lights or something. Oh, on the left, can I get in and all that kind of stuff. And I had to throw him out again because I feared, that he was intent on being a man of persuasion in the back of the cab, and he looked an unsavoury type. So I'm pretty sure that went out.
Well, how about this from June? She said, if you head up the hill to the Triangle after the game, I can recommend the White Hart Pub and Grub.
Oh, yeah.
Nice part of town.
Excellent. Sounds brilliant.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Well,
I once tried to get my way out of here one time, and I ended up being taken in a car by two guys who should never have been driving it.
Oh, no, they're intoxicated,
who actually couldn't remember where the car was.
No, I know, yeah.
So it was a bit of a nightmare there. So we're hoping to get it slightly better organised this time.
You and unsavoury people
seen the time, by the way. Look, just because we're out of the studio and there's no clock in front of your face, you need to be very aware of the time. Because we're on a very, very tight rein here, because we've got lots of guests to get in.
Just get on with it.
Right now, a very exciting moment for you, though,
Absolutely.
Porky, because you've been probably one of the great things you wanted to do in life, if you hadn't been such a successful broadcaster and journalist, was to look after people's gardens, right?
No.
You've always wanted to meet somebody who actually knows about stuff like that.
No, I haven't.
Haven't you?
No.
You told me that once.
No, I didn't.
Really?
No, I never told
Well,
you. What I told you was...
Let's talk to somebody who knows an awful lot about football grounds, an awful lot about how to make the grass grow and keep it looking very, very smart indeed.
That's right.
Gareth Reid, who's here at Crystal Palace. Gareth, very good morning to you.
Morning, gentlemen.
Gareth, good morning. He's absolutely wrong about me wanting to do people's gardens. What I've always admired...
You've woken up in a few of them.
Just shut up for a minute. You look like you've been dragged into a hedge backwards this morning. Have you been in somebody's garden?
Well, I'm wearing a tie at least.
Gareth, can I just say the admiration I have for you guys to produce the sort of pitches you do these days. But you're quite a lucky man to work in this era and not 40 years ago when we used to play on pitches that had holes in them. You know what I mean? Tell us first, please, when you got here this morning, -8 degrees, and I'm told the pitch is going to be playable at 12 degrees. How do you do all that?
Yeah, so basically it's more down to the undersoil heating. That's been on for at least 2 months now.
2 months?
Yeah, because obviously we can't fully predict overnight temperatures.
Right.
So anything, as soon as it's minus, there's a possibility that the pitch would freeze.
Right.
So we like to have it at a stable temperature, which is about 10 degrees, which means we can still enable the grass to grow.
Right.
That must be quite an electricity bill. Have you been on to... Don't start singing. Have you been on to, like, U-Switch to make sure you get the best
I'm
deal
not
from your local
too
electricity
sure
supplier?
what the quarterly rate is for
No,
us.
exactly, but quite a lot.
I can imagine it's quite expensive to run.
This is definitely the coldest weekend of the season so far, is it not?
Yeah, I think yesterday was actually colder than today.
But I mean, it's the coldest Saturday you've
yeah,
had so far.
yeah. I mean, it was probably -5 overnight.
Okay.
So,
and as a groundsman, you're dealing with real grass here, are
yes,
you?
Yes.
Is there any such thing as real grass these days? Are all pitches now knitted with something else?
Yeah, so this is a Deso Grassmaster, which is, I think there's majority of them are now in the Premier League. There's maybe 3 or 4 clubs that don't have this system, and it's just basically woven artificial grass into the natural grass. But they're still natural grass pitches.
But all these guys in Scotland, they play on sort of pseudo-plastic pitches.
Well, some of them are doing that.
Yeah.
Well,
is that
the
because
weather's
it
a
gets
lot
so
worse
cold?
up there. It's very wet up there.
Yeah. Well, they should have underground heating, and then they can do it the way
underground
Gareth does
heating
it.
won't help you with the rain. But I mean, one of the other things...
It will.
No, it wouldn't.
It will. The water will evaporate, won't it?
No. Just say no.
No.
It's wrong.
No, it will. Of course
No,
it will.
you're wrong.
If you boil a kettle,
Yeah.
the steam comes out of the kettle. If you boil a pitch, the steam
You wanna
comes
boil
off
the pitch?
Well, you don't boil the pitch.
He
but you
boils
heat-
everything, He boils vegetables.
you-
He
Yeah,
boils his
I've
shirts.
heard that.
So he cleans everything. Now you want to boil Crystal Palace's football pitch.
I don't want to boil
You've
that
gone
pitch.
mad.
No, but it's obvious, isn't it? If you've got hot wires on the pitch, the water will...
Hot wires.
Yeah, hot
How
wires.
do you think it works? Have you ever seen the underneath of an
Yes, I have.
undersoil heating
In
system?
fact, Everton Football Club were the first club in history to have underground heating. And when they won the league championship in 1963, that summer, they dug up the pitch and they laid all these cables and like nobody could understand it. And all the players said, we're not playing on it because our boots will go through onto the wires. But I mean, they're a bit deeper than that, aren't they?
Are you sure they said that?
Yeah, I'm sure they said that,
You've got undersoil heating in your garage, your roof garden.
No.
I know you haven't got any soil, have you?
No.
You haven't got any soil.
I haven't got any soil, but I've got a frozen bird bath, and I can tell the temperature actually out in my roof garden by the depth of ice in the bird bath, and also
Gareth's fascinating. I'm sure you've got lots to do, Gareth.
Yeah,
the game
sure.
is just a couple of hours away. Just one final question.
Yes.
You see an awful lot of Premier League football stadiums now sort of spraying water on the pitch before the game to make the ball move a bit quicker, to make it all slicker. Would you do that in this kind of weather, or is that a bad idea?
We'll kind of judge it before kick-off. Obviously, as the frost is coming out the pitch, naturally, it's going to be wet anyway. So, depending on kind of conditions as they go forward.
Okay.
But, we like to...
And does that instruction come normally from the manager as to whether he wants that? Or
bit of both, really.
Yeah.
Does a groundsman, Gareth, have any control over a pitch at somebody else's stadium. If you turned up at Goodison Park and you didn't like the state of the pitch, would you have a conversation with?
No.
So they can gerrymander if they want to.
Yeah, it's home advantage.
Well, that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mr. Gareth, thank you very much.
Gareth.
Very much. Really appreciate
the
knowledge. Mr. Parry now knows an awful lot more about Undersaw Higgs than he did when he started.
To all Americans in every city, near and far, small and large, from mountain to mountain, from ocean to ocean, hear these words: you will never be ignored again. Your voice, your hopes, and your dreams will define our American destiny. And your courage and goodness and love will forever guide us along the way. Together, we will make America strong again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
President Donald Trump has a certain ring to it, doesn't it?
It does.
Did you watch the inauguration yesterday?
I did. And do you know the moment I love best? Because I've seen hundreds of... no, I haven't. I've seen about...
well, there's only been 58.
Yeah. I've seen a dozen probably inaugurations. I've actually been to... I went to the Bill Clinton first one.
I think you might have mentioned that about a million times.
The moment of pure theatre for me is when Marine One, that's the helicopter, the green helicopter, it's got United States of America written down the side, and the blades are going round, and then you see the blades tilt, which means the helicopter's about to take off, and it takes off from the square in front of the Capitol, and that's the outgoing president. That's, in this case, President Obama and his wife Michelle, leaving the political arena forever, and as the plane gets up and you see, the panorama of Washington, D.C. and Maryland and Virginia as they fly off, that to me is pure theatre.
Okay, it was kind of a surreal day. We're going to talk to Mr. Peter Conradi, foreign editor, of course, of the Sunday Times. He's going to have a busy day today, patching it all together, putting together exactly what happened behind the scenes. Donald Trump went straight from the actual inauguration ceremony to sign a couple of things into law, and then he went off to the inaugural ball
involving borders in America and all this
started
kind of stuff.
Singing My Way and all that kind of thing. Let's talk to Peter and find out what they're looking at today. Peter, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us once again. For me, it was a kind of a surreal day in a way. I was watching as TV interviewers were talking to the bikers who had said they were coming just in case they needed to be used as extra security. They were talking about possibly getting into punch-ups with the masked demonstrators who didn't really do too much. Hillary Clinton had a sort of fixed smile on her face, which looks as if it had been painted on. I mean, what did you make of it all?
I don't know. I thought it was rather like being kind of transported into a film, wasn't it? I don't know. I mean, it seems almost unreal. The idea of this guy who's we've been watching his rise first as a candidate and then as the president-elect, and now to actually see him as president. It just didn't seem real. I caught myself, so I pinched myself sometimes as I was watching it all.
I mean, Peter, for me, I would say 2 or 3 minutes into the inaugural speech, which was one of the shortest on record as well, President Trump made it absolutely clear he's not pulling back on anything that he said in the march to the White House. Everybody thought this man was going to suddenly moderate his tones and become, what some people would say, internationally more reasonable. He's not, is he?
More statesmanlike.
Yeah, more statesmanlike. He's not, is he?
No, he's not. I mean, that's been the thing all the way that we've been sort of watching his progress up from being this sort of joke candidate all the way through to president-elect, now president. Everyone is sort of saying, well, at some point he will stop. At some point he'll become presidential, and all this is just a facade, and all this is a show. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, no, this is the real Donald Trump. It's going to continue to be the real Donald Trump. I mean, it's going to be extraordinary 4 years, I think.
It is going to be fascinating. I mean, he sounded a little bit nervous to me when he first started speaking, because even for him, it must have been quite an immense kind of occasion to suddenly be the front and centre of.
Well, he
to
addressed
be
the world as the most important man.
To address the entire world.
Yeah.
But he soon got into it. But I mean, rather like my broadcasting partner here, who claims to be a man of the people, while at the same time running loads and loads and loads of flats that he rents out to people. This is a guy who claims to be a man of the people, but has hired all sorts of billionaires and hedge fund managers to sort of exert the will of the people. And he himself is hardly a guy that's like your average Joe.
No, but he's one of these people that can kind of manage to pull that off, isn't he? It's a little bit like Nigel Farage.
A bit more successful than Farage, you'd have to say.
But, Nigel Farage also someone who very much comes across as a man of the people. But, he was in banking, he was in the financial world. You say he looked... a bit nervous. I thought he looked a bit glum. I was watching the footage of him walking along, up to beginning to make his speech, and he had such a sort of a strange expression. We were sort of thinking, well, maybe he actually only does two expressions, sort of angry and solemn. But his solemn, he just looked a bit there was almost a sense of, what have I let myself in for here?
Or maybe the burden of responsibility, because he means to do what he says he's going to do. The most important question for us, Peter, is what does it mean for this country? I'm reading some commentators this morning who say he's very Anglophile. He very much wants to regard Britain as his biggest ally in Europe. What is in it for us?
Well, I think that the interesting thing is you've got the coming together of him becoming president and us obviously being on the verge of leaving the EU. So, these two elements are going to work together, and I think, Theresa May is going to milk that as much as she can. There have been reports around this morning that she could be going to America as soon as Thursday of next week, which we're trying to stand up, which looks quite plausible. And you kind of couple the sort of the enthusiasm that the government here is showing for Trump, and you couple that with the real hostility that you're getting from continental Europe, particularly from the Germans, which is, very much reciprocated. I think, Angela Merkel is not Donald Trump's favourite woman.
No, but she was Obama's, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. I mean, you can see a kind of a new world order kind of emerging with us and the Americans and maybe some Australians and New Zealanders thrown in, against the rest. And actually, that's not such a new world order; it's a return to an older one.
It is indeed. And so, what can we expect from the Sunday Times tomorrow, Peter? Will you be treating this inauguration weekend as solemnly as every other one?
Well, yes, we will, but there'll also be some great fun bits. There's some wonderful moments. I don't know if you saw it. There was the moment when the cameras turned on Bill Clinton, who was gazing across at Ivanka, and Hillary standing next to him, giving him such a dirty look, saying,
it's not like
she's looked at him like that before, I think.
I was going to say, it's not like she's not seen that happen before on a daily basis for the last 35 years.
Also, the thing that I found astonishing...
She's perfected, I think.
Yes, I think so.
A collection of some great tweets. We had, Stephen King, the writer, saying, "Welcome to the age of plunder, bluster, and the age of dumb."
Right.
So we're looking at how the world's been reacting to it.
And it was very sort of star-studded.
The march in Washington today. Covering it from every side, really.
Yeah, I was astonished because when that young woman got up to sing the Star Spangled Banner, I had no idea who she was, and I had to kind of trawl through the programme to discover that she was from America's Got Talent, which was about as star-studded as it got.
Yeah, no, that was always the thing, sort of running up to it. But he managed to pull it off. Although it is worth noting that the crowds that turned out, they were obviously very enthusiastic and they were very pro-Trump and so on. But it was a fraction of the numbers that Obama got.
Yeah.
But that
was the other thing. He used a picture from Obama's 2009 inauguration on his new Twitter account, POTUS, which is it's sort of thing you'd expect Trump to do.
Yeah, you would.
Peter, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much
Pete.
indeed. Peter Conradi there, foreign editor of the Sunday Times, which will be full, I'm sure, of all sorts of revelations about the Trump inauguration weekend.
All sorts of revelations.
All sorts of revelations. Still looking. He was still looking for some fresh meats, I suppose you might say. I want to pick up Tony Vincenzo on something he just said. He's covering Who Are You's game over at QPR.
You mean Onionhead?
Onionhead, yeah. Called him Onion because he's always moaning when he was at school. Yeah. But we call him Who Are You? Ian Holloway, QPR Fulham. He said, of course, the ground's only 3 miles away from each other as the crow flies. What does that even mean?
No, there are only crows in that
And also, at the
world.
moment, if they're flying in the air, they're going to fall down dead, aren't they? Because it's so cold.
Absolutely right.
Now, I've got a few tweets for you.
Yeah.
Ryan says this after your suggestion of having to have somebody try and jump into a cab with you. Once that guy hijacked the taxi, he spent longer than 5 minutes with Porky. He wished he'd actually walked instead.
Well, I meant to tell you, but it's a family show, so I was a bit reluctant, but I will. That happened to me in Liverpool once. A chap barged into my taxi, but I had witnessed him, because I was in a traffic jam. Yeah. I witnessed him urinating against a wall.
What?
Seconds earlier.
You can't say that.
No, I'm not joking.
This
and
is
then
a
he
family
suddenly
show.
turned round, he was bladderating, and decided he wanted to get to Lime Street. Right. So I opened the door and got in and offered me his hand to shake his hand. So I got out the other door.
Story.
I was that shocked.
That's a terrible story.
Yeah.
Sean says, crikey, Porky's on one today. It's a shame he can't boil his head.
What?
As in reference to you saying they should boil the pig. pitch.
Well,
by the way, did I tell you?
Yeah.
Since I know you tried to interrupt me earlier,
yes.
But since we spoke to the groundsman, he started to water the pitch.
Exactly. It's
still going on over there.
And so, because they've got the underground soil, the
underground soil,
underground heating, pitch
underground soil
heating, you'll find now. You mocked this before. There is steam.
By the way, you
pitch.
showed such ignorance when you were speaking to that guy, Gareth Reid. By the way,
didn't.
What you know about underground heating?
On.
You can write in the back of a postage
I can see
stamp.
it from here with my own eyes. There is steam
your own
coming
eyes?
off the pitch.
Right.
That's because the undersoil heating.
It's not steam.
It
No.
is. It's boiling the water.
No,
I'm telling
it's
you.
no.
What do you think it is?
That is spray.
Scotch mist.
No, it's Scotch mist coming from the spray, which is on the other side of the stadium, which you can't see.
Rubbish.
You complete blank. Here's
utter-
Gordon. He says,
utter
when
joke.
Porky puts his heating on,
Yeah.
is there wine or beer going through the radiators?
Hey.
And by the way,
Yes.
Charlton, which is not a million miles away from here, as the crow flies, has not got a game today because apparently they've got undersoil heating, but they didn't put it on.
Southend United.
I mean, they got some problems with Charlton.
They've travelled all the way from Southend.
Well, I mean, they got some problems with Charlton. You think somebody would know how to flick a switch?
Well,
Eh?
it's not that. I think what you'll find is they must have put it on, but it hasn't effectively
No, they didn't put it on.
Yeah, but
I've got a tweet from somebody who's a Charlton fan. They didn't put it on.
They haven't put it on in time. That's what he means. Because when we spoke to the very able groundsman here at Crystal Palace a little bit earlier
Gareth Reid, his
that was
name
Gareth Reid, and Gareth said they have it on permanently. So they have it on permanently.
Well, no, they don't.
They do.
No.
He said we have it on all the time.
They've had it on for the last 10 days, he said.
That's right. Well, that's all the
that's
time.
not permanently,
It's
is
all
it?
the time to
What,
me.
so 10 days ago, when they didn't have it on,
And what they've
is
done-
that permanent or temporary?
What they've done at Charlton is they've obviously put it on last night, thought it's going to be a bit cold overnight,
Really?
but it hasn't been strong enough to defrost the pitch.
Pete says this, Porky's gardening tip should
Yeah.
be the new weekly feature.
Yeah, well, it should be. I could help you out there.
But I'll tell you
because-
what, instead of that, we'll do this.
Okay.
Now, this, of course, is the music
Yes.
which introduces what?
The 1 minute moan.
The 1 minute moan. Now,
Yeah.
what is the problem that we've had lately with the 1 minute moan?
It's become a 3 minute moan. Or
Yes,
a
it's
5 minute
become.
moan.
Yeah, you seem to have difficulty,
Yeah.
as the people have
Yeah.
pointed out. You moan all the
Yeah.
time on the show,
Yeah.
but when you're actually given a period of time,
Yes.
i.e., 1 minute to moan,
Yes.
you can't seem to manage to stop for 60 seconds.
Yeah, but you see,
so when the bell goes at the
Yeah,
end, right,
yeah,
clock
yeah.
counts for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
That's when you stop.
Yeah, but you see, your issues are always trite and pathetic. My issues
No.
have gravitas.
Well, no, you lose every week.
Now, I'm going to go first today, right?
Oh, are you?
'Cause
Okay. It's not going to be about Ed Balls again, is it?
No, my 1 minute moan today is on behalf of the thousands of Crystal Palace fans who are going to flock into this wonderful stadium today.
Okay.
It's on behalf of them that this moan is coming. And you know what it's about?
What's it about?
Croydon is in the county of Surrey.
Is it?
Surrey
Is
are the
this
first
what you call
county
Stockbroker
who
Belt
have
Surrey?
decided-
Doesn't look like
Stockbroker-
Stockbroker Belt Surrey to me.
So what do
I've
you
been
mean?
walking around the streets around here. It doesn't look like Stockbroker Belt.
You really want to insult your host?
I'm not insulting the host. I'm just saying it doesn't look like Stockbroker Belt to me.
Are you trying to tell them their ground is in some tawdry,
That's not what I'm saying.
slum-like area?
That's
Is that
not
what you're
what I'm,
saying?
no, that's not
Well,
what I'm
are you
saying.
What
I'm
are you
saying that you call Surrey Stockbroker Belt Surrey. You're now
Yes.
telling me Croydon
Yeah.
is in Stockbroker Belt Surrey.
Croydon is
It's
in
not.
Surrey. The postal address is. Anyway,
Why don't
just
you
shut
live
up
here
for a
then?
minute because my 1 minute is about to start.
Oh, well, you're going to hang on.
Yeah,
Well, you have to wait for me to start the clock.
Oh, go on then.
Are we ready to start the clock?
There it
Go.
goes. Now then, on behalf of all Crystal Palace fans who are Surrey residents, my 1 minute moan is about the ridiculous plan to try and hold a referendum amongst the citizens of Surrey to increase their council tax bill by 15%. I say
this is a bit predictable.
no once.
This is
I
a bit
say
predictable.
no twice.
Hang on.
I say no 3 times.
That's a waste
we
of time.
cannot have this
That's
done.
repetition.
And do you know why?
Why?
We cannot have it done because in this country we pay 80 pence on a litre of petrol in tax. We pay 70% of a bottle
always
of
about
whiskey
money with you,
in
isn't it?
tax.
Always about
we
money.
have massive income tax on unearned income.
How much income tax do you pay?
Gordon Brown scrapped
Not his
dividend-free
fault.
dividends on pensions. He scrapped the.
You've actually written notes down for this.
No. It's because I'm telling you, the government take all our money and yet they still can't get it right. Now, the 15% is supposed to be to help out people who need welfare. Well, can I tell you, not a lot of people in Surrey need a lot of welfare.
You're going to need it soon.
And if they do, it should be paid for by the government. Of course, I want to look after those who can't look after themselves. But why do the
That's it.
people? Why do the people
No,
of Surrey,
that's
the
the end.
Crystal Palace fans,
That's the end.
have to do it?
That's the end.
Okay.
That is the end. Once again, he's gone over, so I think you'll have to take. Ross will have to make a decision on how much he penalises you for going over the limit. Would you like now?
Penalised because it was gravitas.
Yes. Well, would you now like to start my clock for me?
Right. Okay, fellas. Here's the countdown to MG's 1 minute. 3, 2, 1, go.
Now, one of the things that people always talk about is that they would like to know how to live longer, how to appear to be younger. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up. Well, I don't need to look younger than you because I already am younger than you. I already look about 10 years younger than you. The problem with you is you would like to live longer, but only 1/3 of your heart works.
Yeah.
But I've worked out a method of how you can actually live longer, okay? Because what apparently some Nobel scientists have worked out is, in fact, that you have got short pheromones going on, right? You have no idea. Yeah, you've got short pheromones. Apparently, it makes your hair go white, it makes your stomach go large, it makes you weak, it makes you ill, it makes you walk around as if you're about death's door. I'm fed up with all of this, right? I don't want anyone telling me how to live longer. Yeah. When I come to the end of my life, I just want to come to the end of my life. I do not
Which will
want
come sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, yours might come sooner rather than later
if
you keep interrupting me, and you might not make it out of it. Sort of a stretcher. Yeah. Bottom line is that people should stop trying to live longer. They should stop trying to prolong their lives. They should stop trying to be something they're not. And what they should do is actually be happy with what they've got, be happy with when their life comes to an end. Because you know what's going to happen? If we have too many people living too long, we're going to pay for it.
Yeah, well, why didn't you volunteer to go?
He's given it to it to you.
I've won. Thank you very much indeed.
It's a shocker. It's a shocker. How is that even possible? How is that even possible?
Do you know why?
Why?
Because never.
Does he live in Surrey?
Never have I ever felt more like the man of the people.
Yeah.
I am the man of the people. I'm
you
here
and Donald
today
Trump.
amongst my own, and I stood up for them. I flew the banner for those people from the stockbroker bell.
That's enough. This is Talk Sport.
I'm overwhelmed.
Shut up.
Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted.
This is Talk Sport, and we are the two mics coming live to you from Selhurst Park. There's a 3 o'clock kick-off, of course. Everton are visiting.
Great atmosphere.
You're saying it's going to be 5-2 to Everton, which I think is very disrespectful to come to a club like this to be entertained in the way that you are being entertained. To speak to the chairman, which we're about to do very shortly, and to talk about slaughtering Crystal Palace 5-2.
No, I never said that.
Shocking.
That was an ambitious sort of projection in the Hawksby and Jacobs show yesterday, because the boys like me to, be expansive and all that kind of stuff. What I would say is it's always great to be in a football ground, in the build-up to a game. But they've opened the gates now, and the first Crystal Palace fans are coming in. We are in the Legends Lounge, and a couple of fans here already. Might be talking to a little bit later on.
Welcome to them. I've got a message for you as well from Graham. He says, enjoying the show, chaps. Enjoy the game today, and don't get too drunk. Well, that's not a very nice thing to say, is it?
It's not a very nice thing to say. I mean,
absolutely shocking.
Gracious, it's not like we've got a reputation for it.
Certainly not. No. Wardy says, great show today. Is Porky on intravenous Red Bull this morning?
No, I haven't actually. In fact...
And Laura says, has Porky paused for breath? He's bouncing off the ceiling.
No, not bouncing off the ceiling, but you do get a sense of anticipation when your team's about to take to the pitch. 3 o'clock kick-off here, of course, at Crystal Palace. And we have no doubt that the atmosphere then will be fizzing.
Yes. Now, according to Reese, he says, Ray Charlton, we've got underground pipes, but no boilers, hence no underground heating.
What?
I think he's making fun of your original assertion that you could actually boil the pitch.
I see, yeah.
Right?
Now,
by the way, have you noticed it's still being watered? Now, that is not at all what you would call steam rising from the ground.
It is steam.
No, it's not.
What do you think it is?
There's still water in the pitch.
And what do you think is the floating in the air off the pitch?
What's floating in the air is the residue coming up from
steam,
man. No, it's not steam,
man. If you put water onto a hot pitch, then
how's
steam
the pitch
comes
hot?
Up. What else do you think it is?
What do you think? The pitch is actually red hot.
The pitch is not red hot, but it is hotter than the water that's
going
up to it.
What on earth are you talking about?
And therefore it evaporates.
No. Have you ever fired a hose? Right.
You don't.
Do you know what happens when you fire a hose?
What?
When you fire a hose, what you get is a residue of water, Scotch mist-like, drifting off around it. I can see the hose on right now.
You don't even know the basic principles of physics. And the basic principles of physics are, and I can tell you this for sure.
You don't know the basic principles of anything.
I do. When you put something hot on something cold on something hot, then you
do you actually
get that effect of steam.
So you believe the pitch is hot? Is that what you're telling me? You don't really understand the undersoil heating principle.
There was something else I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, go on.
We had a very busy week, okay?
We have had a busy week.
You know that scientists have now discovered that actually, if you are smarter than the average bear, like me...
Yeah, well, the average bear is not very bright, is it?
You can stockpile sleep ahead of a busy weekend.
I've told you that before.
No, you haven't.
I have. I've always told you that, because what I've said to you in the past is that sometimes I end up sleeping for quite a long period of time in any one particular day. If I know the following day or the day after, I'm not going to be able to sleep at all.
If you're going to have
you talk about this stuff as if you're a sort of a 10-year-old boy. Just emerging from his mother's aprons.
Take a day when we might be on the road going to Glasgow or something like that. You know that horrendous trip that you organised.
Oh, yeah.
For us, you know
I didn't organise it. You were the one that wanted to go by plane. I told you we should have gone by train in the first place.
And the plane never took off.
Yeah, but you organised it. You bought the tickets.
So then we had to rush back into London.
Yeah.
Right, we ended up getting on stage, 20 minutes late. That was your fault. The whole night went late.
No, it wasn't my fault at all.
And so we were up nearly 24 hours. Now, if I'd have known...
we were not up nearly 24 hours.
Well, I was.
You're up 24 hours because you don't sleep.
If I'd have
You've
known...
got some kind of manic tick going on. And every time you lie down, you have to get up again.
If I'd have known it was going to be the fiasco that it was, I would have gone to bed an hour earlier every night of that week and stockpiled 5 hours sleep, which would have seen me through that weekend.
You don't sleep more than 3 hours a night.
And I wouldn't have felt zombified then.
Yeah. Maybe you should have stayed off the Pinot Grigio. You would have felt less zombified.
I didn't go on the.
You didn't go on the Pinot Grigio.
But do you know where this comes from? It comes from a guy called Jim Horn.
Horn?
Yeah, Jim Horn, who's a professor.
Professor Horn.
And head of
What's he a professor of?
he's
Professor Horn.
He's a professor of sleep, and he's head of the Sleep
Professor
Research
of
Centre at Loughborough University.
All right.
So,
I thought Loughborough University was famous for its sporting endeavours.
Well, it is, and it's also got apparently.
We talked to a guy in America who's at some sleep centre, don't we?
We do, but that's all about your eyeballs rolling around in your head when you've got your eyes closed.
Well, I mean, I'm a great expert on these things because having worked strange hours pretty much all of my life, I know exactly when I need to sleep. And the problem with you is that you don't sleep when you need to.
Okay.
Because sometimes if you try to sleep when you don't need to, you can't actually do it.
Yes, okay.
Isn't that obvious to you?
Okay. Now, can you remember...
What do you mean, okay? So you pay no attention to me at all, even though you're standing right next to me.
No, I'm taking him. Time is short, and I want to make sure that we get a fantastic representation.
Are you saying, have you seen
today.
the time to me?
No, I was about to say to you, can you remember the most interesting game you've ever been to involving Crystal Palace or Everton?
The most interesting game that I've ever been to involving Crystal Palace or Everton. Well, I've only ever seen Crystal Palace and Everton at Selhurst Park.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I have to say, without wishing to be unkind, they have not been what I would regard as incredibly devastatingly entertaining.
The most interesting
I'm expecting
one for me,
today's game to be very entertaining.
Oh, it will be very entertaining indeed. The most interesting one to me was the semi-final replay in '95, because that's when Roy Keane gave it to Gareth Southgate and got himself sent off, and yet United still went through. Now we've got
you asked me about an Everton Crystal Palace game.
Yeah, that's Palace playing. No, I said Everton or Crystal Palace.
I see.
Everton, Crystal Palace.
I thought you were asking me about Everton Crystal Palace.
I said
because you brought me to a game here years and years and years ago when I was living in New York, which was a 0-0 draw in the fog.
Yes, that's right.
One of the most desperate games I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you blatherated all the way through because you couldn't keep up with it. Listen, we've got a special guest.
Why don't you welcome the special guest
just walked
instead of
into
blathering
our
on?
studio. I'm going to shake hands with him as well because he's a hero of mine. Graham Stewart.
Michael, how are you?
Very well indeed, my boy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Not so bad.
Thank you very much indeed for coming. Do you know, I was only talking to our producer Ross, who's also an Evertonian. I said, let's just remember the fantastic part you had in that goal in '95 when we won the FA Cup, okay? And of course, it was your pass that led to the smack on the bar, which led to the ride-out goal.
You're too kind, Mike. Way too kind for me. I got a bobble at Wembley. Can you believe that? I mean, a beautiful pitch at Wembley, and I was the only one who's ever got a bobble there and hit the bar.
Yeah.
And Paul Rideout spared me blushes.
But you wouldn't turn that sort of look down, would you?
Of course I wouldn't. I mean, there's many a good player who's never won an FA Cup in his medal, so I'd be grateful.
It's better to be lucky in some of these situations, isn't it?
Right,
I mean,
it's better to be lucky than good.
Well, I didn't want to finish that. I didn't want to finish it that way because I thought, I don't know you very well, Graham. I didn't want you to take against me because Porky here.
Can I introduce you to Mike Graham? He's the other Mike.
Yeah. Hello, how are you? Very nice.
Gents, regularly. It's not like you two to be arguing against each other.
No, I know.
Anyway,
shocking, isn't it?
Now, listen, I've got a great story involving Graham and I, right? He claims that the last time we went up to Merseyside on the train, when we got to Runcorn, I waved to the Everton team who were on the other side of the platform.
They were heading south.
Yeah, they were heading south. He claims they ignored me all.
They
Is
did.
it not true that you and I once met on a train at Runcorn Station?
We certainly
and
did.
Spent the rest of the journey down to London sorting out all football's problems.
Yeah, that's correct.
You were quite impressed by my football knowledge, weren't you?
Your football knowledge is exceptional, Mike. And
how many times did he make a trip to the bar during that trip?
Well, I was actually surprised. Actually, I didn't get a drink out of him.
Didn't you?
I was very, very shocked and
That's
saddened
very
by
unusual,
that. Well, he actually passed me on the way from first class. I was obviously sat, in standard class.
Of course.
You mean with the great
with the real people?
Yeah, with the real people.
With the real keeping it real.
Exactly
but,
right.
Mike was coming back from first class.
Yeah,
got a drink,
bottles and bottles of wine. Yeah, that's often the way when you encounter him on a train. Normally, what he does when he meets people on a train is he pretends that he has to get off at the next stop because he normally hates sitting with anyone.
Well, you swung it for me that day, didn't you? So somehow, some way, he got me into first class.
Did he?
With him,
Absolutely.
So, Lord Parry got me in.
This boy's an Everton hero.
It's a wonderful night, you gotta take it from me. It's a wonderful night, come on and break it on down. It's a wonderful night, you gotta shake it from me.
Steve Coppell, we can finally welcome you properly to a place which, in fact, is far more familiar to you than it is to us.
Well, to you.
What?
Yeah, I know a lot about this place. I've been here many times.
Yeah, well, we don't want to talk about some of the previous times you've been here, do we? Because that would be embarrassing.
Well, it'd be embarrassing for you. But, Steve, thank you ever so much for coming on today.
You're welcome.
Truly a legend. 4 times manager of Crystal Palace. I mean, it's imbued within you. But today, the mighty Everton are coming here on the back of a 4-0 victory against Manchester City. Your boys are going to have to be on their toes.
They are. They're going to have to play very well. And I think a critical game, after the initial few matches with Big Sam. I think now people are looking and waiting for the impact to really happen.
Yeah.
And obviously, you look at the league
do you
table.
mean Sam's honeymoon is over, so to speak?
No, I wouldn't say it's over, but people are expecting. Sam goes to a club and you expect things to happen, and as yet they haven't.
Yes.
So it's critical, I think, a home game, a team who are obviously on the back of a great result. It would be a huge feather if they could get a result here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is a result in terms of the sort of the progress of Sam Allardyce at Crystal Palace, does that include a point? I mean, if they can get a point, would that be a result?
Well, you would take it, I suppose, but the faithful are looking for 3 points. You're looking for 3 points because you have to look over your shoulder now. The way the current form has gone, you look over your shoulder and you see there are possibilities. There are possibilities. I think the 3 teams at the bottom are worse than Palace.
Yeah.
I think Palace have just got to begin to show it.
Absolutely. You've been associated with this club for a long time, Steve, and Crystal Palace over those decades really have had a reputation as a yo-yo club. Now, you could say there's a bit of ruthlessness in getting rid of your manager, Mr. Pardew, and bringing in Big Sam. Does that indicate from the new ownership of this club that they're not going to be a yo-yo club anymore? They want to be a permanent Premier League outfit.
They want to be a permanent Premier League outfit, that is for sure. Looking at Alan's reign, I thought, terrific manager. I really like Alan. He was my player. I liked the effect he had on the team. FA Cup final in the summer. I personally feel if Soiree hadn't have had the car crash, Alan Pardew would still be manager of Crystal Palace. That balance just went, and with the window, you couldn't supplement the team. So, I think it's on fine, critical things that footballing decisions are made. You bring somebody in with a proven track record of winning games, of turning clubs around. You want to see some kind of indication that it's going to turn. And I'm sure it will. Sam he's almost formulaic. He comes in, he brings his backroom staff, the science is involved. The way they play mightn't be pleasing to everybody, but it's effective.
Sam has said he's been after like 21 players in this window. He's only got 1 so far. Do you think the current squad is strong enough?
No, I don't. The fact they were so vulnerable with Soiree being injured proves that it wasn't deep enough, and they didn't have the players who could chop and change and fill in the holes. So going forward, it would be a huge thing if he could still get another couple of 3 players in to really impact the squad and get the team up the table.
Now, Steve, you're back here on one of the coldest weekends we've seen so far for football, but you've just been in India, so it's a bit of a contrast for you, isn't it?
A huge contrast, yeah. Just in the whole thing, the football environment. Obviously, I was in India. I was there 4 months.
Right.
The team I worked for was Kerala Blasters. We got to the final of the Indian Super League, which was a great achievement. 30-odd degrees every day, playing in cricket stadiums most of the time.
Yeah. It's a big crowds, right?
Kerala, the biggest crowds. They officially there were 50-odd thousand, but more realistically there were 70-odd thousand.
Are all the players Indian, Steve?
You get a squad of players. You get 14 Indian players and 11 international players, and you have to play 5 Indian players, something that maybe the Premier League could pick up on going forward.
I was going to say, are we likely to ever see an Indian player in this country pretty soon? There's been a few of them over the years.
There have been a couple who've tried. There's a really good Indian goalkeeper who plies his trade in Norway at the moment. Yeah. He is looking to come to England. The one thing India doesn't have is a footballing infrastructure.
Right.
In Mumbai, we played in Mumbai, and we had to train on an AstroTurf pitch, which was an old AstroTurf pitch. There were no
Plastic
grass pitches.
Yeah,
there were no grass pitches.
Burns your legs.
And all the kids, kids who are looking to play football. The elite ones, you want them to play on good grass surfaces.
Sure.
And there just aren't enough there. Okay. Cricket is still very much the dominant sport.
Of course it is. What about today's game? How do you see it going, please, Steve?
I think the start is always so important. I think...
the start, what, the first 10 minutes?
First 15 minutes.
First 15 minutes.
I think if Everton get the noses in front, then it'll be difficult to turn around. Similarly, I think if Palace get the nose in front, the confidence boost, I think that will give, and the crowd behind them here, I think they will go on and win comfortably.
Okay. Well, Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
What did you think you meant by the start of the game, by the way?
Sorry?
What do you think you meant by the start of the game, the last 10 minutes?
Well, hang on. How does a professional footballer define the start of the game? Do you mean the first 5, the first 8, the first 15?
Right.
Or are you too stupid to take on board what I'm trying to say to a professional footballer?
No. Talk Sport, we are the two mics coming live to you from the Legends Lounge on the warm-up at Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased to say that Steve Harris, the chairman, has very kindly agreed to join us. But if he doesn't mind hanging just for 1 second for us, we've got to go up to Anfield.
This is a very important man.
I know that. I know that. So I'm
Long.
going to tell Beaky to keep it short because there's nothing going on at Anfield. Beaky, what's going on?
17 minutes gone. It's Liverpool 0, Swansea 0. It's been all Liverpool. They've had 2 chances. Henderson crossing. He found Chan and Mark, but he headed over the bar. And then good play by Firmino again across from the right-hand side. This time Lallana's bicycle kick over the bar as well. Liverpool 0, Swansea 0.
Thanks very much indeed, Beaky. We'll keep you updated with all the goals as they go in.
Yep.
Steve, welcome to Talk Sport. Thank you very much indeed for sparing us some
us.
time. We're only a couple of hours away ourselves almost now from the kick-off against Mr. Parry's team, Everton. He comes here on a regular basis to watch Everton usually get a pretty good game from Crystal Palace. So
usually.
We're hoping that for my case, I'm supporting Palace today. So
that's right. Steve,
it's all going to work out
it's
well.
great to have you. Everton, of course, had a fantastic result against City.
Yes.
Certain clubs hit certain runs of form during the season. You didn't really want to inform Everton here today, did you? Because you're still trying to establish the role and the position of your new manager.
Everybody we're playing at the moment is in form. That's the way it's gone for us this season. That's just, you have to face up to that. So I'm sure we'll give Everton a game. We always do. But it was a great result against Man City. I was pleased for them.
Sure.
Like Everton.
No.
I like Everton, like Bill. Nice club, lovely club,
sure.
brilliantly run. So I was pleased for you.
Mr. Kenwright's a lot like you. His heart and soul is in the club, and he lives and dies by it. The situation during the transfer window, Steve, must drive you mad because I've spoken to other chairmen who say they get up to 30 calls a day from agents all around the world who are trying to flog them players, and you have to liaise with your manager, and it must be a very, very stressful part of the football calendar for you.
Yes, it is. I mean, it gets slightly easier the more you do it because you kind of know the stuff that's real and the things that aren't and what you might be able to achieve. But it's a small price to pay. January and the summer are never easy times if you're a chairman or a manager trying to get the right players in. And obviously the situation we're in makes it a little bit more important than usual. But hopefully we can find a way through it and get 1 or 2 additions that can help us.
And in January it's always difficult because, as people will tell you, I suppose, and you'll know yourself, quite often there's not great players available, but it's a question of maybe filling gaps. Do you go into it with a sort of shopping list, or do you just go in and wait and see what's going on?
Bit of both, really.
Yeah.
So the shopping list is kind of formed by people that you think you can get, that you might be able to get. We've actually had some real success in the January window before. Scott Dan came in the January window, Joe Ledley. It's definitely got tougher. Certainly, the money that the Premier League have got is almost exaggerated now, where every player and every club, certainly abroad, think that, unless they're getting 20 million, they're being done, So it's a very, very difficult market generally now, I think, because of the success of the Premier League.
And also the introduction of China into an already expensive world is going to skew it too, isn't it?
I guess, yeah. There's a certain type of player, isn't there, that they're going for the names, aren't they, really? So I don't think that is totally relevant to where we are right now.
Is it going to push the price of everything up, though, in a way?
Depends how many they buy, doesn't it? At the moment, it's a fairly low volume, and it tends to be, the Tevez, the kind of superstar players. But yeah, you never know if it continues. I've been told they're clamping down on it a little bit.
I think FIFA want to try and make sure that all the world's best players don't suddenly go there on, sort of 300,000 a week or something, or even 600,000 a week.
Why can't they go there?
No. I think FIFA are trying to make sure that they don't. Because, well, because then they'll be taken out of the best leagues in the world.
We had this round, didn't we?
FIFA want to discriminate against China.
No, not at all. You're not discriminating against China. What you're saying is that
why is that not discriminating against China?
Well,
So any other league in the world can buy whoever they want, but China can't?
No, what I'm saying is, Steve, is this, that China's not a developed football country and Europe is a very developed
matter.
football country.
Doesn't matter, does
No,
it?
but we had this argument on the air, didn't we?
As a football
No,
fan.
we had this argument on the air.
No,
I
it
said
matters to me as a
to him, you
football
can't say that the Premier League can pick players from Spain, from South America, from France, and then say China can't do the same thing. It's not fair.
No, but China is still a football wasteland in terms of what it's got to offer to the world.
Don't
Europe
go there
isn't.
tomorrow, will you?
Sorry?
There's a lot of places in Britain he can't go, by the way, after he's insulted them.
No, I don't insult them at all.
There's a whole
But
long
if
list.
China want to develop their game,
Yeah.
you know, in the same way, you know, when people come in and they developed clubs here and the league was developed, you know, the league was developed by people investing money. You know, when Mr. Abramovich came in and developed Chelsea, you know, he put a lot of money. The Abu Dhabi people have put in a lot of money to Man City. You know, you can't legislate against people that want to invest in their country, their league. It's a
I
free
know
market.
it's called a free market, but you still would prefer the European leagues to have the best players in the world because they're the most popular. And people watch them on TV.
But how are you going to make the game more popular across the world if we only ever have the best players in the world and you legislate against everybody else having them?
That could take 3 or 4 decades for China to become, you know, a popular.
Yeah, but you've got to let them have the freedom to do it.
Well, yes, you have got to let them have
So you
the
want a
freedom
free
to do it.
market apart from China?
No, not at all.
And also
Not
anywhere
at
else
all.
he doesn't like. No, Russia as well.
No, not at all. What I'm saying is the sort of players that we have in the Premier League in this country and in Europe should want to play for the best clubs who have established
that's
themselves
a different
over
argument.
200 or 300 years.
I'll tell you what, you know, listen, I don't know what you earn, right? I mean, the numbers that are being bandied around, right? If somebody came to you and was going to, you know, not even quadruple, 10 times your salary, you know, the money they're offering players, reportedly, you know, net salaries is crazy. I mean, we've had a player that has been offered apparently 3-4 times his net salary.
Well,
you're talking about, you know, even if you're
in this
wealthy,
country or somewhere else.
it's in China, you know, and he's turned it down because he wants to stay here and he wants to play in a big league. But that's everybody's choice, isn't it? You
Absolutely.
know, if you're I mean, the money that Tevez is reported to be on, we don't know it's true, do we? But I've heard banded around 700,000 net a week.
Well, Diego Costa was going from 7 million a year to 30 million a year in China. I totally agree with you. A guy's
it's hard to say no.
A 400% increase on a massive salary already.
Yeah. When you're somebody like Carlos Tevez, who's achieved so much in the game, you know, Diego Costa, you know, he's won championships. You know, it's not like that. You know, there's definitely lots of things left for them to do. You can imagine it's tempting, and you know, you can't imagine it will stay happening forever. You know, that can't be an economic situation. So they're investing in the league and in the clubs, and they're hoping to get a big bounce off that in the same way that, you know, in the 70s they did in the American leagues. It ended up not working.
It never happened in America, did it?
No, it didn't. But I mean, there are very few ways that you can improve the popularity of your league.
Yes.
Getting some of the world's biggest superstars from different countries of the world is obviously a way of doing it.
It's novelty football, isn't it, China? And a lot of players.
I'd like to go and work for one of these Chinese clubs and say to them, I don't. He's on 7. Maybe you don't have to offer 30. Maybe we can get him for 15.
Exactly.
You know,
getting back to Crystal Palace though for a moment.
Absolutely.
I know you'd like to keep on with your
Not at
communistic kind of dialogue, the monologue that you want to do. You expecting to bring anybody in that you can obviously not tell us about, but in the next few days, obviously, transfer windows coming to an end. Will Sam Allardyce say to you, if we don't get this guy, you know, I can't do for you what you want me to do?
Look, Sam's. We're both under pressure. You know, we're both aligned on that. You know, we feel that we need a couple of players to give us some security and give everybody a lift. You know, the crowd, the other players. You know, everybody wants to see a few reinforcements, give us some options on how we play. So, you know, we're both aligned in that. You know, Sam's not alone. I think we need a couple more players if we can get them. But you know, it's not. Can't make people sell me players, and other people have their own situations and their own problems, and sometimes they just won't sell. We were trying to get a player from a club that are themselves relegation threatened in their own league, you know, and they're kind of like, there's almost no amount of money that you could pay us to take this player away.
Is relegation threat a nightmare, Steve, literally, to keep you awake at night?
Of course, there's no other industry like it, is there? There's no other industry where, you know, you can not do very well and end up with 50% of your revenue year 1, 25% of your revenue year 2, 25% year 3, and then year 4 almost 10%, going down to 10% of your revenue. I mean, for any business, it's such a binary thing, success and failure.
So you're going to be ruthless in staying in the Premier League? Absolutely ruthless.
Listen,
managers aren't performing?
Oh, no, look, I mean, we've made the decision on the manager. You know, we're totally committed to Sam. Sam's committed to us. that die has been cast. You know, we're working together well. You know, look at his track record. We haven't got a better mate. We've got to support Sam and give him the tools that he needs, and that's what we're aiming to do.
Okay.
Steve, thank you very much indeed. Good luck today.
Thanks for joining us. Great to see you.
Lovely to see you.
He did predict that Everton would win 5-2, so if you don't want to start... You said it live on the radio yesterday.
That was in Hawksby, Jacobs. It was a gambling show.
I wish I could bet. That'd be a good bet.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very close game. Very close game.
Yeah.
Who knows?
If you want to bar him for the bar, that'd be fine with me. Thank you very much.
I think he's been drinking anyway.
Well, he usually has.
That's very
He usually has. Steve Parrish, Chairman.
Love it to see you guys.
Thank you very much indeed.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM, the warm-up with the two mics on Talk Sport.
It was old Beethoven who cut his ear off, wasn't it?